Hi, my name is Corinne, and we're here at Dee's today to talk about bottle bracelets. Bottle bracelets are a new craze in which you can wear several bangle bracelets with 3 beads on them all at once. You can wear them with a dress up or a dress down look. For this project, you will need a bottle or some sort of form to wrap your wire around, 20 gauge wire. For this project, most people are using gold, wire cutters, needle nose pliers, and 3 medium to large beads. The first step in this project is to cut your wire. You're going to need about 2 to 2.5 yards of your 20 gauge wire. And I usually give myself just a little extra, just in case. And now we will begin to make our bracelet. So to begin this bracelet, you're going to take the end of your wire and place it onto the bottle, holding your thumb over top of the end. We're going to wrap this around the bottle about 4 times. Then, with your thumb and your finger on the other side of the bottle, we're going to, over top of your wraps, we're going to gently slide this off the bottle and pinch it with your thumb and your forefinger of your other hand. Lay all of those wraps together and make sure that they're still pretty even. And we're going to use that tail, I've got about 3 inches here, to wrap around the form of our bracelet. I've got my other finger from my other hand holding that wire in place so that my wire doesn't slide down where I don't want it on the bracelet. So I'm going to wrap this about 5 or 6 times. Nice and tight. I'm just guiding that around. You want to try and get each wrap as close to the last wrap as possible. I'm just guiding that around with my fingers. So we're going to leave that tail on there. We'll worry about him later. And then fold our long tail straight up so that that doesn't go anywhere. So next we will place our first bead onto the bracelet, or onto the long tail of our wire, and slide it all the way up to the bracelet form. We're going to leave a small gap there. It's less than 1/4 inch, and fold our bead over onto the bracelet form. What that gap does, is it just helps hold the bead slightly up off of our bracelet form. Then we'll take our long tail and wrap it twice around the other side of the bead onto the bracelet. Then we're going to wrap this wire underneath the bead twice. So there's once, twice. I'm actually going underneath the bead but on top of the bracelet. Then, again, we'll wrap this back down around on the other side of the bead. We want to wrap this about 4 or 5 times to secure that bead onto the bracelet. Okay. So next we're going to guide this wire along the outside of the bracelet form so that it matches with the wires that we already have on there. So I'm just guiding that along. I'm going to visualize where my next bead needs to go. This is going to be about 1/3 of the way up the bracelet. Sometimes it helps to actually lay your beads underneath so you can kind of see where your next wrap needs to go. So my next wrap needs to go approximately here. And again, I'm going to hold these wires together so that when I wrap my first wrap, it doesn't slide down the bracelet as I'm wrapping. And again, we want to try and get each wrap as close to the last wrap as possible. And we're wrapping about 4 or 5 times. You've got a long tail here, so be careful when you pull it out. Sometimes it wants to spring back, so you don't want to actually hit yourself with this sharp point of the wire. So just watch kind of where you're flinging your wire. And then we're going to place our next bead on. Same process as the last. Slide it right up to the bracelet. Leave a small gap. Fold your bead over and wrap. Twice. Wrap twice underneath the bead. That's once. Twice, and then wrap back down around the bracelet. We've got one more to go. Guide your wire along the bracelet. Visualize your next point. Again, you can place your bead under there to kind of see where your wrap needs to go. Wrap about 5 or 6 times. Place your next bead on. Leave a small gap. Fold your bead over. Wrap 2 times. Twice around the bead, and then wrap back down around the bracelet. Okay. At this point, you can actually clip off your wire as close as you can get, or you can continue to, if you have extra wire, guide that around and wrap them a couple more times around your beads so you don't waste the wire. That is completely up to you. Here, I'm just going to clip these off as close as I can get, and I want my tails, my sharp little tails, to be on top of the bracelet. We are going to deal with those so that they're not sharp, but you don't want them underneath, just in case when you're sliding your hand on, that scratches your hand. You do have the option to sand or file this end. I usually just push it down into the bracelet and kind of run my finger over it and make sure that that's not sharp. And I'm using my needle nose pliers to do this. Just push that down in there. And there we go. It's not sharp, so we're doing good. And we have a completed bottle bracelet. There are other options. Some people are actually taking extra wire, and you can do this while the wire is still connected to the bracelet, or you can do it afterwards. Just wrap it around one of your wraps, and then bring your wire up over top of the bead just to give an added element. And I'm just wrapping it right around the bead there, and then wrap it back down on the other side of my bead. Again, you just clip that off and bury your tail. You can do that as an afterthought, or like I said, you can actually cut more wire, maybe about 3 yards instead of 2, and do that as you're working your bracelet. This concludes our bottle bracelet instruction. You can purchase all the materials to create these bracelets here at Dee's. Thank you for watching.